In this world, everyone awakens a superpower based on the debt they carry. 100,000, and your body becomes bulletproof. You can tear steel apart with your bare hands. 1,000,000, and your mind becomes a weapon, your fingertips turning into blades to slay monsters. Some hundreds of billions, and become an unstoppable superhuman, a force that not even nuclear weapons can destroy. As for me, worth 3 billion, I never awakened any power at all. Instead, I became the most prized prey for monsters looking to level up, devour me, and they'd gain a massive surge of power, skyrocketing their strength overnight. Lucky for me, my ride-or-die Drake owed me 70 million, and it turned him into a man who could punch a tank into scrap metal. I thought having him in my corner made me untouchable. Instead, he fed me to a mutant giant spider. Once I was swallowed whole, he killed the spider, claimed its demon orb, and used my death to power himself up. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn, 3 days before the apocalypse. In 3 days, monstrous beasts would ravage the entire world, crushing humanity like ants underfoot. I made myself a promise. This time, I control my own fate. The fastest way to rack up massive debt? My own uncle, president of the 10U Group. Over the years, his reckless ambition and mindless expansion, pouring money into industries he knew nothing about, had buried the 10U Group under 2 trillion in debt. With that in mind, I went straight to Uncle Grant's office. "Uncle Grant, I have a request." His expression shifted slightly. "The company's available cash is under 50 million, he said with a tired sigh. "February payroll still hasn't gone out." I quickly told him I wasn't there for money. The tension eased from his face. He gestured for me to sit on the sofa. "The 10U Group is a family business, founded by my grandfather. Before he passed, the old man split the company in two. Uncle Grant and my father each received a 50% stake. When I was 8 years old, the flight carrying my parents went down. A first grader overnight, I became an orphan, the richest orphan in the world. Under Uncle Grant's leadership, the 10U Group steadily rose, becoming Dragon Nation's largest private enterprise within a decade, valued at over 1 trillion. My stake had been diluted from 50% down to 10, but 100 billion was more than enough to make me the world's youngest billionaire. Never one for studying, I skipped college entirely and came home to live off my inheritance. I asked Uncle Grant for 3 million, and used it to launch a film studio, a gaming company, and a streaming platform. 5 years later, that 3 million had become 3 billion. Meanwhile, Uncle Grant's blind expansion and reckless investments sent the 10U Group into freefall. The debt piled up fast. In just 5 years, Uncle Grant went from Dragon Nation's richest man to its most indebted. Even so, carrying that astronomical debt, he could have become an invincible powerhouse after the apocalypse hit. But in my previous life, he jumped from a building the night before it all began. I wasn't going to let the man who raised me make that same mistake. I looked at him and smiled. "I'm here to help. My company account has 2.5 billion ready to move, and I'll wire you 2 billion within 3 days. Uncle Grant's eyes welled up. He'd been blacklisted by every bank and had burned through every favor with every friend. These days, scrounging 10,000 was a struggle. He'd even been thinking about ending it all. If he couldn't scrape together payroll by this afternoon, he planned to jump. With trembling fingers, Uncle Grant lit a cigarette. "You're a good kid. I'll sign over another 10% to you." The words left his mouth before a bitter laugh followed. "Though right now, nobody wants a single share of the 10U Group." "Uncle Grant, I haven't even made my request yet." I cut him off gently. "Keep the shares. What I want is simple. Transfer the 10U Group's debt into my name." Uncle Grant stared at me, stunned. The 10U Group is a family business. Under Dragon Nation law, the legal representative cannot be transferred to someone outside the bloodline, so the debt had been locked to Uncle Grant's name with no way out. Making sure he heard me clearly, I repeated, "I want you to transfer the company's debt into my name." Uncle Grant slowly came back to himself. He took a long, slow drag of his cigarette. "That's 2 trillion in debt. Take that on and you may never crawl out from under it. I can't do that to you. This is my sincere request. I'm young. I don't have your connections, but you have a powerful network built over decades. Free yourself from this debt, take the 2 billion I'm giving you, and you might still be able to save the 10U Group." I reached out and took his hand, my eyes as clear and earnest as a newborn's. Uncle Grant thought for a moment. "Let me sleep on it. Why don't you go home and think it over too? Come back tomorrow?" "Uncle Grant, the daily interest on 2 trillion is over 10 million. Every hour counts." I gripped his hand tight. Tears streamed down Uncle Grant's face. "All right, son. We'll do it your way. Let's go file the transfer now." 2 days later, the 10U Group's debt was quietly transferred into my name, making me the world's most indebted person with 2.1 trillion on my shoulders. And I wasn't miserable about it. I was thrilled. Back at the office after handling the paperwork, I suddenly remembered there was one more piece of unfinished business. The man who'd betrayed me in my previous life. I took out my phone and called Drake. "Drake, come by my place later. I've got a surprise for you." Half an hour later, Drake showed up at my office with his assistant Mia in tow. I put on my most harmless smile and pulled Drake into a big, warm hug. Drake matched my energy instantly. "Feels like almost 2 months, bro. Let's get properly wasted tonight." I personally brought coffee over to Drake and got straight to the point. "I just took over as head of the 10U Group. It's been nonstop. Drinks can wait. I called you here because I need a favor. I'd love to help, but cash is tight." Drake set his coffee down fast, eyes suddenly guarded. "I borrow money on principle, and I never pay it back." I laughed. I'm not here to collect, Drake. I'm planning to move all 2.5 billion from my company account straight into yours. I said it with a straight face. The 10U group is 2 trillion in debt, and I'm now the legal representative. My accounts will probably be frozen by the courts any day now. I need to move the money to someone I trust, and you're the only person in this world I trust completely. Drake's face lit up instantly. Money transferred into his name? That was practically a gift. Drake shot a look back at Mia. Set Damien up with a few extra accounts later. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. Of course. Mia stood straight and answered with a bright smile. And I can't let you do this for nothing, I added. I'm going to clear every debt you owe. Even a snake like Drake was moved. His hands trembled just slightly. Not counting what I owe you, I've got another 150 million out there, he said. I walked around to my mahogany desk, opened the safe, and pulled out 3 IOUs, 70 million in total, and tore them apart right in front of him, letting the pieces drop into the trash. Brothers don't keep receipts. Send me the details of your other creditors. Drake jumped to his feet, overcome with emotion. You're not just my brother anymore, you're my blood, he called out, heading for the door. I noticed Mia moving to follow him. I'll call the bank right now to arrange the transfer tonight, I said with a smile. Let Mia stay and help me sort through the paperwork. Drake agreed without a second thought. He slipped on his sunglasses and strolled out. Mia, do whatever my brother needs, whatever he asks, you do it. Drake had barely left the building. After 2 wild hours, by 7 in the evening, staff from 4 different banks arrived in person, equipment in hand. I settled every last one of Drake's debts, 153 million in total. Ha! Starting today, Drake owes absolutely nobody a single cent. By 9 o'clock, every last cent in my accounts had been transferred into Drake's name. I politely declined his dinner invitation and walked Drake and Mia out of the building with a smile. Drake, the Weather Bureau is forecasting something unusual after midnight. Best to stay put. If anything goes wrong, call me, anytime. I opened the car door for him myself. After all, he was my upgrade gift package. If a monster got to him first, all my planning would go to waste. Something unusual? Drake thought I was joking. He'd checked his account balance notification 8 times already. Now that number in my account, that's something unusual. I waved him off with a knowing smile. Good luck, Drake. Once Drake was gone, I grabbed a meal at the office cafeteria, returned to my office, and waited for the end of the world. Soon, the great bell atop the observation tower rang out, a single resonant toll. Overhead, the moon slowly shifted to a pale, eerie blue, casting the city in a horror film haze. I stood at the floor-to-ceiling window and stared up at the blue moon. Hold your gaze for 30 seconds without blinking, and the blue moon activates your virtual panel. Name, Damien. Spirit crystals, 2.16 trillion. Soul grade, gray. I still remembered my stats from my previous life. Name, Damien. Spirit crystals, 0. Soul grade, purple. The biggest difference was stark. Last time around, I had 0 spirit crystals. Now I was sitting on over 2 trillion of them. That number matched my debt exactly. 2 trillion owed, 2 trillion in spirit crystals earned. But my soul grade had crashed from purple all the way down to gray, the lowest tier of all. Soul grade is ranked by a person's net worth at the moment of the change. Locked into your genes after the apocalypse hits, never to change no matter how rich you get afterward. Based on that grade, spirits and mutant beasts can see a colored aura above every human's head. From lowest to highest, gray, green, blue, purple, silver, and gold. The higher the soul grade they devour, the faster their power level grows. So the wealthy, those who held vast fortunes before the apocalypse, became the most dangerous prey of all, while the penniless poor were actually safer. I scrolled through the rest of my virtual panel. Level, stage 0. Physical stats, strength, 38. Speed, 32. Reflex, 35. Jump, 26. Mind, 35. Endurance, 41%. Beyond the physical stats, the panel showed 2 more values: Tao Focus, Spell Power, and Spirit Gold. No matter how powerful your physical stats became, they couldn't touch incorporeal spirits. To fight them, you needed Tao Focus and Spell Power. I focused my mind and gave the command: max out all 8 attributes. For reference, a boxer at Tyson's level would top out at 100 for strength. The average adult man sits somewhere between 30 and 50, maxing everything out from the very start. This is what separates the free-to-play crowd from the ones who go all in. Against a full-size mutant beast, even Tyson and an average man are basically the same, both helpless. So I focused again and pushed deeper into the virtual panel, bumping myself to stage 3 and raising all stats to 400, at a cost of 182 million spirit gold. If the virtual panel hadn't flashed a warning, rapid stat increase detected, risk of internal rupture and bone fracture, I would have dumped the entire 2 trillion in and gone from bronze to grandmaster in one shot. Almost celebrated myself straight into a second death. I took stock of the changes. The body that had been soft and unremarkable was now packed with dense muscle, coiled with power, buzzing with energy that needed an outlet. I held back from pushing further. It had only been a few minutes since the apocalypse began, and I'd already jumped 3 stages. I threw a punch at the wall in front of me. A heavy thud echoed through the room. A concrete wall 25 centimeters thick had a clean hole punched straight through it. Time to go hunt some monsters. If I don't burn off this energy soon, I might actually explode. I slid the window open and leapt from the 23rd floor. Dragon City blazed with neon. its streets still packed with people who had no idea what was coming. A guy in a Grim Reaper costume was strutting around like he owned the street, pulling faces at pedestrians, and getting in the faces of other cosplayers, shoving and grabbing without a care. Death is here! The Grim Reaper grabbed a little kid by the neck and hoisted him overhead, teeth bared in a grin. The child burst into terrified sobs, and scrambled away to find his mother. The Reaper laughed and swaggered on through the crowd. Tormenting kids wasn't enough anymore. Across the street, a white-haired figure in an ogre costume shuffled along like a zombie. The Reaper sneered. What a joke. Worst costume I've seen all night. He was still laughing when the ogre reached him, closing the distance without a word, and seized him by both shoulders. Its jaws snapped shut on his neck. The Reaper let out a soul-shredding scream, and then couldn't make another sound. Within seconds, every drop of blood had been drained from his body. The cosplayers around them finally realized what was happening. Screams broke out and bodies scattered in every direction. A blood donation van parked along the curb. Its locked doors burst open on their own, and one by one, snarling ogres poured out from inside, moving like the undead, hunting everyone in sight. The street erupted into chaos. Cries for help and screams of panic rising from every direction. Within moments, dozens of people had fallen to the ogres. Through the chaos, I came sprinting in. Gray suit, black shoes, moving like a predator, launching forward like a cheetah, one fist driving forward, and a silver-haired ogre went flying. The impact was devastating. It never had a chance to fight back. These things go down way too easy, I thought. I swung a kick sideways. Another ogre dropped, completely unable to move. In just a few minutes, I'd taken down over 10 ogres with nothing but my fists and feet. But the screams didn't stop. The apocalypse had already spread far beyond the street. It wasn't just Dragon City. Across Dragon Nation and across the entire world, the night had been swallowed by chaos. No single person could stop this. Fighting spirits for the first time, I'd gotten covered in foul residue, thick and sticky and deeply unpleasant. I headed back to the office to clean up. In the apocalypse, hesitation is a death sentence. Only the ruthless survive. 10 minutes later, I stepped into the office and heard running water coming from the bathroom. Someone was in there. A spirit came to me. Even with my boosted physical strength, my chest tightened. Even stranger, whatever this was, its first move was to freshen up. Unbelievable. I held my breath and moved carefully toward the bedroom. The frosted glass door of the bathroom was half open. Through the haze, a slender white silhouette tilted its head back. I stayed on guard. After the change, all manner of spirits had crossed over. Creatures from legend, from folklore, from myth. Physical force works on mutant beasts. Against spirits, you need Tao techniques driven by focused intent. The glass shattered. I silently invoked a Tao incantation. A sharp crack rang out. The frosted glass exploded inward, and the figure inside was fully revealed. A breathtaking woman in flowing ancient-style robes, her dark hair cascading like a waterfall, skin like flawless jade, and fully clothed, simply washing her face. She turned her innocent eyes on me, voice carrying a hint of grievance. I was just borrowing your sink. Was that really necessary? Something about her face was familiar. I just couldn't place it. What are you? I demanded, voice low and cold. And why are you in my office? The woman in white covered her smile with one hand. Don't I look like a goddess from the heavens? Something clicked. Those old ghost stories, where spirits fished for a title to bind themselves to the living. This was no ordinary person. Whatever she wasn't human. To me, you look like my personal attendant, I said without thinking. I tried to probe her true form with a Tao technique, but my spell power wasn't strong enough. Nothing happened. The woman let out a soft sigh and revealed something that stopped me cold. I am Cheng, and with those words just now, you have sealed away 1,300 years of my power, and bound me to you as your attendant. I stood there, completely frozen. I turned to look at the painting on the wall, the one that had hung there for 5 years. Shang flies to the moon, and Shang's figure had completely vanished from the canvas. Wait, am I going to become a servant too? A bright, clear voice piped up. From beside the sofa, a small girl appeared, silver-braided pigtails, eyes as red as rubies and full of mischief. The jade rabbit who had always rested in Chang'e's arms, now in human form. Luna admitted her power was only a quarter of Chang'e's. Stage 3 for now. Chang'e, though she held 13 stages worth of 1,000 years cultivation, was fully sealed, no stronger than an ordinary person. Strange as this all was, in the apocalypse every ally counted. I told them both they could stay for now. Right then my phone went off. It was Drake. His voice was pure panic. Damien, help me! There's something in my house. It's eating people. My brow tightened. Drake carried a purple soul grade, rare and valuable. I couldn't let some random spirit claim that. I hung up and got to my feet. Let's go. Time to collect some experience points. I scooped up Chang, powerless as she now was, leapt out the window, and landed without a sound. Luna floated down right behind us. Above, the full moon pulsed with an unsettling glow, and the entire city had already become a war zone. Human screams tangled with spirit shrieks, people fleeing in all directions. Emergency broadcasts blared across every channel, urging citizens to take shelter immediately as military forces moved into the city. I jumped into the red sports car and drove toward Drake's villa with Chang'e and Luna. On the way, passing under an overpass, I spotted a massive turtle demon ramming straight into a military patrol unit below. Their weapons couldn't even scratch it. Casualties were mounting fast, and shimmering clusters of light drifted up from the fallen soul essence, what remains when a person dies. both spirits and mutant beasts absorb it to grow stronger. Luna's eyes locked onto those drifting lights with unmistakable longing. Don't even think about it, I said firmly. Those soldiers are the last line between the people and total collapse. I turned my attention to the turtle demon. I asked Luna if she could handle it to gain some power. Chang'e spoke up beside me. That turtle demon is stage 6, charging in recklessly would be suicide, so Chang'e could read a spirit stage at a glance. Even with her power sealed, that ability remained. I tapped into my spirit essence and pushed myself up to stage 4, maxing out every stat. A surge of raw power flooded through me, screaming for release. Chang'e reminded me that the virtual panel's weapon vault carried divine weapons for purchase. I opened the vault. Ancient weapons lined the interface in rows. After a moment's consideration, I spent a large sum of spirit gold and bought the celestial halberd, a weapon usable from stage 4 onward. Pricey, but perfect for where I stood. The glowing halberd materialized in my grip. I leapt from the overpass, more than 10 meters up, and dropped straight toward the turtle demon. A soldier had been cornered with nowhere to go, fingers already on a grenade, ready to take them both out. I shouted for him to throw it, and swung the celestial halberd, batting the grenade directly into the turtle demon's underbelly. The explosion rocked the ground. The turtle demon shrank, shrinking into a turtle-headed humanoid form but no less vicious. I charged in with the celestial halberd raised, its edge impossibly sharp, and cut straight through the demon's defenses. It turned and bolted. I was on it in an instant, driving the halberd into its vital point, finishing it completely. As the turtle demon dissolved, it left behind a silver demon orb, and a burst of soul essence scattered all around. I absorbed the demon orb. My experience shot up instantly, hovering just one step from the next stage. I called Chang'e and Luna down to absorb the soul essence. Luna, thoughtful as ever, offered most of it to Chang'e, who had nothing left. Chang'e recovered a small measure of spell power from the absorption. Not much, but in the apocalypse, every bit counted. I took the moment to ask Chang'e to explain the rules of this new world. She told me, when humans die, they become soul essence. When monsters die, they form demon orbs. Humans level up using demon orbs and spirit essence. Spirits grow through soul essence, but gain nothing from killing their own kind, which is why they almost never fight each other. With the rules clear in my head, I stored the celestial halberd back in the weapon vault, and drove on toward Drake's villa. The soldier who'd nearly died immediately reported to his superiors. Someone out there had abilities that could kill spirits. Command issued an investigation order on the spot. I pushed the car hard all the way, and finally pulled up outside Drake's villa. I threw open the car door and charged inside. Chang'e and Luna followed, puzzled by my urgency. I just hope he hasn't been devoured yet, I said flatly. Inside, Drake was backed into a corner by a fish-headed humanoid spirit, kneeling on the floor, begging for his life. The creature had once been his prized arowana, the most expensive fish money could buy. The apocalypse had transformed it into a spirit. It had already killed the household staff and now had its eyes fixed on Drake's purple soul. The fishman specter closed in step by step, stating plainly that devouring Drake would give it a massive power surge. Drake, out of his mind with fear, screamed out a deal. Don't eat me, I'll take you to someone worth more. My friend Damien is worth hundreds of billions. His soul essence is 100 times better than mine. Take him and you'll gain way more power. The fishman specter's interest was piqued. It released Drake's throat and hissed coldly, "Lead the way, this snake." Even staring death in the face, he'd sell me out without a second thought. I'd noticed my body wasn't the only thing that had changed. My vision and hearing had sharpened dramatically too. In the dead of night, everything was as clear as midday. Even through the heavy security door, I could hear every word being said inside, and my fist clenched tight. "Fine, Drake, don't say I didn't warn you." I kicked the reinforced door wide open and called out with practiced urgency, "Drake, are you okay? I'm here." Drake had no idea that in this world debt meant power. Watching the fishman specter come at him, he'd panicked, and in that moment remembered what I'd said when we parted ways. He'd called me on instinct. He never actually expected me to show up, but one look at that thing, and he'd written me off, assumed I wouldn't stand a chance, and immediately turned to flatter the monster. "My lord, this is the friend I mentioned. He's worth a fortune, you won't be disappointed." The fishman specter gave me a quick glance, then grabbed Drake by the collar and snarled, "You lied to me? This one carries a gray soul, the lowest grade, nowhere near what you promised. Let him go." Power surged through me, energy without limit coiling beneath my skin, as I leveled a finger at the specter and said low and cold, "You wanna fight? Take it up with me." The fishman specter let out a twisted laugh, and stepped toward me slowly. Well, well, delivery service. I'll gladly accept." "Don't flatter yourself," I said with a dry laugh. "You're nothing but a mutant fish." Luna quickly stepped in front of Chang'e and whispered, "Is this one strong?" Chang'e gave Luna a gentle pat on the shoulder, calm as ever. "Relax, he can handle it." Called out and humiliated, the fishman specter let out a shriek and charged. I didn't flinch. One hand, one punch, a dull crack. The blow caught it square in the torso and sent it flying across the room, slamming into the wall, out cold before it even hit the floor. I moved in and finished it off in a few swift moves. It dissolved into a gray demon orb, barely the size of a cherry. I couldn't help a quiet sigh. A gray-tier demon orb, not even worth breaking a sweat over. I absorbed the orb into my palm, and the panel ticked up by exactly 1,000 experience points. Drake exhaled with relief, and as if the past 5 minutes had never happened, came forward with a grin. Damien, when did you get so strong? Lucky you showed up when you did. I was in real trouble. I gave him a cold smile. You think you're safe now? Drake's face fell. He remembered. That was just a strategy, he stammered. Come on, we're brothers. I would never actually let anything happen to you. Brothers? My voice dropped to ice. What you just did wasn't brotherhood. I grabbed him and held him in place. It was time to settle a debt that spanned 2 lifetimes. Drake panicked. He tried pulling rank, throwing his family name around like a shield. When that got him nowhere, he dropped to his knees and begged, listing every wrong he'd done. I'd seen through him long ago. In my previous life, he set me up to die. In this one, he sold me out within hours. The apocalypse has no room for mercy, and traitors deserve none. I crouched down and looked at him, disheveled, pathetic, and laid it all out. You want to know how I got strong? Debt. In this world, the more you owe, the more power you unlock. I'm carrying 2 trillion. That's why I'm standing here and you're on the floor. The realization hit Drake like a truck, and then the regret followed right after. I had 200 million in debt. I could have powered up too. You paid it all off and cut me off from everything. Smart, just not smart enough. I kept my voice even. 200 million would have gotten you to a high stage, more than enough to handle something like that fish. But that's just not your destiny. I wrapped things up, said a few quiet words to Chang, and waited outside. In less than 30 seconds, Chang'e came out with Luna. How was the soul essence just now? With that score finally settled, the weight that had been sitting on my chest was gone. My power grew quite a bit, Chang'e said softly. Luna bounced over with bright eyes and proposed they team up, hunt spirits together, collect soul essence, level up as a unit, mutual benefit, survive the apocalypse together. I looked at her seriously. I'm no saint, but I don't kill my own kind. We only hunt spirits and mutant beasts that are preying on people. Luna's face fell a little. She worried she wouldn't grow strong enough to protect herself. I thought for a moment, then gave her an answer. We target spirits that have just absorbed soul essence. Take them down before they digest it, and whatever they swallowed is yours. Luna looked at Chang. Chang'e gave a nod. And just like that, our hunting party was official. My phone buzzed. Uncle Grant. I picked up immediately and asked if he was safe. His voice was alive with excitement. I'm fine, don't worry about me. I've changed. I can smash through solid objects now, and my virtual panel is active. 1,300 million spirit crystals. It made sense. Even after transferring the group's debt to me, Uncle Grant still carried personal debts of his own, enough to activate the panel. Over 1 billion spirit crystals was more than enough to keep him alive. The last thing I'd been worried about finally settled. I told him to stay home and stay safe, then hung up. Let's move. Time to go hunt some monsters. I drove out of the Villa district with Chang'e and Luna, following the sounds of screaming to track down spirits. For 4 straight hours, I took down 1 stage 3 spirit, several stage 2 spirits, and over a dozen stage 1 spirits, racking up 450,000 experience points in total. Looking at the scattered low-tier demon orbs, I shook my head. These low-level spirits were nothing compared to that century-old turtle demon. The silver demon orb from the turtle demon was worth far more than all these gray, green, blue, and red orbs combined. I now had a clear picture of the demon orb tiers, from lowest to highest: gray, green, blue, red, purple, silver, and gold, each tied to a different grade of soul essence. Low-level spirits, sure, but what they lacked in power they made up for in sheer numbers, and the damage they caused was devastating. I cleared the area and collected hundreds of pieces of soul essence. Chang'e and Luna moved in right after, absorbing every piece they could. Chang'e broke through to stage 2, strong enough now to defend herself. Luna's starting stage was already higher, so her gains came slower, but they were steady. At 6 in the morning, the blue moon faded. The spirits that had ravaged the night retreated into hiding, and the world fell temporarily quiet, only for the blood sun to rise, bathing everything in deep red light. The air carried something wrong. In some ways, daylight was more dangerous than the dark. Cities everywhere had been torn apart overnight. After fighting without rest, I was running on empty. Body and mind both drained. I drove back to my estate in Junting District, a prime location nestled between hills and sea, home to the city's elite. The grounds were still. No spirit had touched it yet, though every resident had locked themselves in after the horrors of the night. Uncle Don, my estate manager, hurried to open the gate the moment he saw me. The household staff gathered around, greeting me with faces still pale from the night before. I gave a brief introduction for Chang'e and Luna, then told the staff to prepare a meal while I cleaned up and rested. The news was on, wall-to-wall coverage of the catastrophe, spirits running rampant across the globe, nations declaring states of emergency, production and daily life nearly at a standstill, with a food and supply crisis on the verge of breaking. I turned off the TV. The situation was clear. In the early days of a catastrophe like this, no government had real answers. If you wanted to survive, you counted on yourself. After the meal, the staff came to me one by one, worried about their families. They all asked permission to go home. I didn't stop them. I just told each one to avoid crowds and stay safe on the road. In a world turned upside down, everyone makes their own choices and carries their own fate. Once the staff left, Chang'e took over the household without being asked. Luna helped beside her. The estate was down to just 3 of us. With the blood sun overhead, animals across the surface were mutating, twisting into mutant beasts of every shape and size. The good news was that mutant beasts were vulnerable to physical force. Conventional weapons could still hold them in check. Spirits, on the other hand, feared the blood sun and only came out at night. I slept straight through to 3 in the afternoon and woke up to over a dozen missed calls. Several of them were from Dragon City Police. I was still looking at the screen when the police called again. The caller identified himself as Glenn, head of Dragon City Police's security division, reaching out on behalf of the Dragon City Crisis Command. The authorities had seen the online footage of me in action and wanted to bring me in to find out how I'd gotten so strong. "What's in it for me?" I asked, straight to the point. Glenn launched into a speech about duty and the greater good. I didn't have the patience for that. I hung up. She called back shortly after, tone noticeably harder this time, citing official authority as grounds to compel my cooperation. I asked again what was in it for me. He wouldn't budge. I hung up and blocked the number. In the apocalypse, empty appeals to righteousness mean nothing. I was willing to protect people, but only with fair compensation. I was 2 trillion in debt, fighting to survive the same chaos as everyone else. I wasn't about to give myself away for the sake of moral pressure. Daylight slipped by fast. The blue moon climbed back into the sky. The spirits would be coming. Chang'e had dinner ready. The food was exceptional. I ate well and then started thinking about the food supply. If the catastrophe dragged on and production stayed frozen, starvation would become the next disaster. Give me something real in return, and I'd fight for humanity's survival with everything I had. I pushed back my chair and called out to Chang'e and Luna. "Time to go. We're hunting spirits and collecting soul essence tonight." Luna cheered. I switched to a different car and drove out of Dragon City with Chang'e and Luna. Military and police patrols swept the streets. The moment a cry for help rang out, they moved without hesitation. Saving people while leveling up at the same time. 2 birds, 1 stone. Why not? Inside the villa of Zane, CEO of Huaxia International, on the night before the apocalypse, Eva, a celebrity actress, had chosen to stay with him given their past entanglement. Zane had always been fond of her. They stayed together, waiting for the outside world to calm down. Just past midnight, a deafening roar tore through the night, shattering the stillness of the villa completely. Zane and Eva jolted awake, hearts hammering. They threw on clothes and rushed to the window. Outside, the streets had descended into chaos. People ran screaming in every direction, cries of pain rising without stop, a suffocating dread settling over the whole city. Then both their phones buzzed with an emergency government alert. Supernatural phenomena detected. Spirits have appeared. All citizens shelter in place immediately. Authorities are responding. Only then did reality land. Something unprecedented had begun. Fortunately, the villa sat in a quiet area. No spirits had touched it overnight. They made it through unharmed. But the world outside was overrun. Spirits and mutant beasts everywhere. Eva didn't dare set foot out the door and had no choice but to stay close to Zane. "Don't be scared, I'll protect you." Zane pulled Eva close, keeping his voice steady despite everything. Eva leaned into him quietly without a word. Online, every platform had been consumed by footage of the chaos, horrifying clips of spirits attacking people one after another, impossible to stop watching. But one short clip, posted by Dragon City's military, had sent the entire internet into a frenzy. In the video, a young man in a gray suit leapt from an overpass, halberd in hand, and effortlessly killed a centuries-old turtle demon that no weapon had been able to touch. The demon's defenses had been completely impenetrable, until that single strike, and it dissolved into a silver orb. Half a day after being posted, the video had already crossed 30 million views. The comments exploded. Plenty of sharp-eyed viewers had already identified the young man as me. Zane and I weren't close. He was skeptical at first, but after going over the footage frame by frame, he confirmed it. He stared at the screen, genuinely baffled. Him? There was never anything about him that suggested this. He called Eva over to take a look. The moment Eva saw it clearly, her expression darkened, and something stirred deep in her memory. She watched me on that screen, confident, commanding, and felt a quiet, bitter regret about choices she'd already made. Some things, you can't take back. While the two of them sat lost in their own thoughts, something strange happened. Zane scrolled to a video that looked like a ghost clip. He assumed it was a joke, but the moment his finger grazed the screen, a bone-deep cold shot through him. He looked closely, and a pale, thin finger was slowly pushing its way out through the glass, radiating a chilling cold. "There's a spirit in here!" Zane screamed, and hurled the phone across the room. Eva spun around at the sound, and on the floor, from inside the phone's screen, pale hands and arms were reaching through one after another, and then, slowly, a figure in full bridal robes, phoenix crown and ceremonial red, began pulling itself out of the screen. The ghost bride, straight out of folklore. Both of them went weak in the knees, unable to move. Eva screamed. In the chaos, Zane grabbed his other phone with shaking hands and called me, voice cracking, "Help! There's a spirit in my house. Please get here now." I was already nearby on patrol. "Hold on, I'm on my way." We weren't close, but I wasn't about to let someone I knew get taken out by a spirit if I could help it. Within moments, the ghost bride had fully emerged from the screen, closing in on the bed step by step, a bone-chilling presence washing over them both. Zane and Eva shut their eyes, bracing for the end, when the bedroom door exploded inward and I walked through. They grabbed at me like drowning people clutching a lifeline, crying out in relief. I took in the room with a cold eye. No rush. What I saw irritated me. Eva immediately started explaining herself, words tumbling out in a panic, trying to distance herself from something. I didn't engage. I muttered an incantation under my breath and cast the binding spell. The ghost bride froze mid-step, completely immobilized. I've frozen her for a moment. When the spell breaks, whatever happens next is on you. My voice was flat, no emotion. Zane's reflexes kicked and the second feeling returned to his legs. He bolted out of the villa barefoot at full speed. Eva dropped to her knees beside the bed begging me not to leave. I was done with it. I pushed her aside. Just then, a cry from outside, and then silence. Zane. I turned back inside, and Eva had bolted too, barefoot running hard. I was ready to let her go, but when I looked back at the frozen ghost bride, something was off. The bridal robes collapsed to nothing. The ghost bride was gone. She's done a body jump, she's already gone. The realization hit instantly. The person who'd run out wasn't Eva. It was Eva's body, possessed and commandeered by the ghost bride. I went straight through the window in pursuit. Chang'e and Luna followed close behind, trying to cut off Eva's body before the ghost bride could get away. But the ghost bride was cunning. Cornered with nowhere to run, she vanished instantly into the phone in Eva's hand, leaving nothing but a shattered phone on the ground. The chase was over. We headed back to the villa. Luna offered me the silver soul essence we'd collected earlier. Chang'e was reluctant. She had reservations about absorbing soul essence tied to karmic weight. I absorbed it myself without hesitation, curious about its effect, then acted like it had poisoned me and dropped to the floor, sending Chang into a complete panic. After the joke played out, the soul essence ended up giving Chang'e a significant power boost instead. That night had made one thing clear. I needed to keep growing. I spent spirit essence on the spot and pushed every stat to the max. In no time my level climbed to stage 5. My spirit essence reserves were still deep, and my strength had taken a massive leap. I took Chang'e and Luna and drove through Dragon City on patrol, cutting down several spirits and mutant beasts through the night. But as the spirits evolved, they grew smarter, harder to corner, harder to kill. The hall was nowhere near what the first night had been. By 4 in the morning we headed back to the estate in Junting District to rest. As daylight crept in and the blood sun rose, a convoy of police vehicles came screaming into the district and surrounded my estate. Leading them was Glenn, sharp-eyed in full uniform, radiating authority. I'd hung up on her multiple times. This time she'd come in person, here to take me in for questioning at the command center. I looked at the armed officers outside, calm. I opened the gate and let Glenn in. Chang'e signaled for me to slip away. I waved her off, I was fine, and told her and Luna to head upstairs. Glenn stepped inside and got straight to it. She said the crisis threatened the entire city, and that she'd been ordered to request my cooperation, to help the authorities find a way to deal with the spirits. I turned him down flat. I'm a businessman. I want official payment for every spirit I kill, scaled by tier, to go toward clearing the group's debt. Glenn didn't have the authority to agree to that. Neither side would move. She ordered his officers to take me by force. My expression cooled. A single thought, and Glenn had a sudden, very inconvenient problem of his own. The officers froze in confusion. The whole situation ground to an awkward halt, just as Glenn was working himself back up to give the order again. A violent crash came from outside. A golden serpent, over 20 meters long, had forced its way into the district, tongue flicking, surging directly toward the police vehicles out front. The blood sun hung in the sky, its crimson haze blanketing the river below. The calm surface suddenly churned, and the serpent erupted from the water. It had once been an ordinary river snake, but the blood sun's radiation had caused it to swell into something monstrous, its body now armored in dense, interlocking scales that gleamed coldly in the red light, and it had made straight for the elite residential district of Junting. After breaking in, it had struck several villas in quick succession, devouring soul essence from ability users and civilians alike, and in a short time had already grown to a stage 3 mutant beast. It caught the scent of the supplies stacked outside my gate and turned, barreling toward us with crushing force. Open fire! The officers guarding the entrance reacted instantly, ordering the counterattack. Dozens of assault rifles opened up at once, pouring a wall of bullets into the serpent, but every round sparked off its scales without leaving a mark, and all it did was make the creature furious. The serpent whipped its 30-meter body around, its tongue lashing out like a whip, snatching up several officers who couldn't get clear in time. Its massive frame coiling and twisting, police vehicles were crushed into scrap, and the scene collapsed into total chaos. Glenn watched his officers go down and charged forward, firing at the serpent without stopping. The bullets might as well have been thrown pebbles. All they did was draw the serpent's attention, and it turned and came straight for him, surging into the courtyard. At the last possible second, I moved, yanked Glenn back inside, then launched myself 7 or 8 meters into the air, and a silver celestial halberd materialized in my grip. "Back down, beast!" The shout rang across the courtyard. I came down hard, the halberd's blade driving into the serpent's body. Those armored scales split apart and a deep wound opened up. The serpent screamed in pain and thrashed wildly, but I stayed light on my feet, always out of reach of the head, always targeting the soft spots along its body. Within minutes, the serpent was covered in wounds, and when its strength finally gave out, it tried to flee. I wasn't giving it that. I launched after it, closed the gap in seconds, and drove the celestial halberd straight through its head with a thunderous strike, ending it. The serpent convulsed once, then curled in on itself, and dissolved into a purple demon orb. I dismissed the celestial halberd, and absorbed the orb. The stage 3 demon orb gave me 450,000 experience points in one go. Glenn stood beside me, jaw on the floor. She'd only seen the footage before, me killing smaller creatures. Watching me take down the serpent with his own eyes, she knew exactly what my strength meant against the threats this world now faced. She made up his mind on the spot. She would go to the mayor personally and push for a deal. Chang'e and Luna came downstairs from inside, having stayed in to avoid the blood sun's radiation. They watched me finish off the serpent without a word. Glenn's uniform was in rough shape. Changa noticed and quietly produced a needle and some spare buttons, helping her tidy herself up. Glenn thanked her, then immediately turned to handling the casualties. The serpent's attack had killed 13 officers. 4 more were critically wounded. She organized the remaining officers to escort the wounded to a hospital under heavy military guard. With mutant beasts everywhere, ambulances couldn't operate. Police escorts were the only option. Glenn looked over her fallen officers, face heavy with grief. She turned to me and said with full sincerity, "Your strength is beyond anything I've seen. I'll report your terms to the mayor immediately, and do everything I can to make this happen." I gave a slight nod. Seeing how much she was already carrying, I offered to go to City Hall with him, meet the mayor directly, work out the plan face to face. Glenn agreed immediately and suggested we take my car, faster, and they needed to move on this as soon as possible. I pushed the car hard all the way to City Hall. On the way, Glenn and I exchanged a quick read of the current situation in Dragon City. No time to linger on details. We arrived at City Hall. The place was locked down tight. The 39-floor building was the nerve center of Dragon City, defended by 4,000 troops, with tanks and helicopters and heavy defense systems deployed on every side. Glenn showed her credentials, and we were waved through to the parking level, heading straight up to the command center on the 19th floor. Dragon City's top leadership was already gathered there, faces tight with worry, working through their options. Mayor Norton, Military Governor General Leo, and newly appointed Police Chief Kane, among others. The previous police chief had gone missing, presumed dead. Dragon City was teetering on the edge. Glenn asked me to wait outside while he went in to brief them. 10 minutes later, she came back and waved me in. I walked in with my head up and exchanged brief greetings with each of them. Chief Kane was the first to speak. He wanted to know how I'd suddenly become this strong. I didn't hide it. I decided to reveal the truth in stages, using it as leverage for a fair deal. It's the virtual panel. Stare at the blue moon for 30 seconds without blinking. Your personal panel activates. It shows your level and stats, and you can use spirit crystals to power up. Confused looks around the room. I kept going. Spirit crystals enhance every physical attribute, strength, speed, all of it, and my spirit crystals come from killing mutant beasts. General Leo frowned. Then why can't ordinary people activate the panel? Activation rates vary by person, I said plainly. Plenty of people around the world have already awakened. This is no longer a secret anyone can keep. Mayor Norton's expression sharpened. He laid it out plainly. Dragon City was overrun. Conventional forces couldn't hold the line. They desperately needed someone capable, and he was asking me to stand with the city. He committed to meeting my terms and formally hiring me to work alongside the authorities. I nodded, then laid out my core condition. I wanted official approval to establish a civilian spirit hunting organization, the Dragon City Guardian Corps, with me as president, free to recruit and train awakened individuals myself. No government salary required, just official recognition of the organization. Chief Kane insisted the organization be subject to command oversight. Mayor Norton found the middle ground. Glenn would serve as vice president of the Corps, reporting directly to the command center, free from interference by other departments. General Leo offered to assign military personnel to support me. With the framework locked in, I moved on to a set of critical protection measures for the leadership to consider. Priority deployment of troops to hospitals, power plants, water facilities, and food storage, the essential infrastructure. Cut all non-essential lighting to reduce attraction to mutant beasts. Seal every livestock facility to prevent animals from being mutated by the blood sun. Then I laid out the core truth of what they were dealing with. Blue moon radiation spawns incorporeal spirits. Conventional bullets can barely hurt them. The blood sun mutates animals into mutant beasts. Those at least can be handled with physical force. But incorporeal spirits can pass through walls and structures, and pose an enormous threat to leadership and civilians alike. The room went cold. Mayor Norton gave the orders to implement every measure on the spot, and pledged the city's full support in building the Dragon City Guardian Corps. I said my goodbyes to the leadership, and exchanged contact details with Glenn, agreed to stay connected and coordinate on any emergencies as they came up. Then I drove away from City Hall, and started thinking about how to build the core. Night fell, the blood sun faded, the cold blue moon climbed back into the sky. Inside an estate, Frank, head of a debt collection firm, was cowering at home with a companion shaking with fear. Since the apocalypse hit, he hadn't stepped outside once. At 11:35 at night, a knock came at the door, an unsettling rhythm, too long, one short, over and over. It made the skin crawl. Both men were terrified. The estate had restricted access, and no one should have been at that door at this hour. Whatever was knocking wasn't human. Frank ducked into the wardrobe and held his breath. His companion worked up the nerve to call the police, sobbing into the phone for help. Glenn was on duty in the dispatch room at that moment. She took the call and reached me immediately. Knocking spirit activity at an estate. Building 6, Unit 2, Room 1701. Resident is Frank Zhang, requesting backup. I was already out on patrol, with Chang'e and Luna, clearing stray spirits across the city. I turned the car around immediately and headed for Tot Estate, while telling Glenn to pass along a countermeasure. The knocking specter operates through sound. Open the door wide and give it nothing to knock on, and it loses its power to harm. Temporary fix, but it buys time. His companion followed the instructions and opened the door. The knocking specter didn't enter. It drifted to the neighbor's door instead, claimed its victim there, then floated back to Frank's window, and began rapping on the glass. 2 short, 1 long. Both men went limp with terror. The companion, desperate to live, yanked the window open. and the knocking specter swept in and seized control of him instantly. Frank watched his companion fall and lost all composure. He ran, screaming for help. Just as the specter's withered hand was about to close around his throat, a dark shape burst through the window with a sharp command. "Bladefinger!" I came through the glass and stepped into the room face to face with the knocking specter. I'd parked the yellow Ferrari down below, launched from the convertible, and came straight through the window. Every door and window was open. A through draft swept across the living room, catching my coat as I stood there, presence sharp and cold. A dim green light pulsed from my fingertips and shot like a blade toward the old figure in the traditional jacket. At this point, my Tao focus and spell power were both at 700, not quite enough to fully execute Bladefinger. So what launched from my hand was more like a short, razor-sharp burst of energy, driving straight for the specter's core. Getting spell power to 700 had taken everything I'd built up to this point. After leaving City Hall, I'd spent 32 million spirit crystals to push myself to stage 6, minus the 390,000 experience points I'd already earned from the previous night's hunts. Net cost, 31.6 million. Then I spent 51.2 million spirit gold to push all 8 attributes to 700, and felt a deep surge of energy settle at my core, power radiating outward in waves. I took Chang'e and Luna straight back out to hunt, best way to let off steam. I knew the truth of it though, fighting alone would never be enough. With the Blood Sun and Blue Moon in play, the spirits and mutant beasts would only keep multiplying. The Dragon City Guardian Corps was the only way to hold the line, and recruiting people with massive debts was the fastest way to build a capable team. Their debt would fuel rapid growth, turning them into exactly the kind of fighters I needed. My first target? A debt collection firm. I had a contact look up Frank's address, the man behind Yuan Fu business. I drove Chang'e and Luna toward. On the way, we ran into a spirit preying on someone. I dealt with it, saved the person, and lost a bit of time. Didn't expect the specter to find Frank before I did. Lucky I wasn't too late. The green energy blade punched clean through the old figure's chest, leaving a hollow cavity straight through. But the specter had no physical form. Damaged as it was, it could still move freely. Sensing my strength, it turned and bolted in a panic. Chang'e and Luna slipped inside, but didn't step into fight as I'd instructed. They each pulled out their phones and filmed the exorcism from different angles, evidence for later. So Mayor Norton couldn't dispute the payment I was owed. Chang'e even mimicked a news reporter, holding the phone steady, recording with full dedication. She looked surprisingly convincing. Going somewhere? I let out a cold scoff, pressed 2 fingers to my temple, focused every ounce of intent, cleared my mind, activated the inner technique, and roared. The Tao flows from the heart. The spell follows the will. The old figure charged for the door and slammed into an invisible wall of force, not solid enough to stop it completely, but enough to knock it back 4 or 5 paces. I pushed more spell power into it, layering wall after wall in every direction, sealing it in completely, until panic flickered across the old figure's face. I gathered every bit of focus I had and pushed harder. Mountain crush. No actual mountain came, but an enormous boulder materialized from nothing, and came crashing down on the old figure and the force walls together. A moment of collapse, and the old figure dissolved into a red demon orb. Target knocking specter. Designation 003. Eliminated. Chang'e stopped recording and saved the footage, then uploaded it to cloud storage for safekeeping. I absorbed the demon orb, 300,000 more experience points. The soul essence the knocking specter hadn't yet digested was divided between Chang'e and Luna. By their arrangement, Luna took the lower grade soul essence, while Chang'e claimed the single purple soul essence. Frank had been a trembling wreck the entire time. When I walked toward him, he collapsed to the floor and wailed. I lit a cigarette and handed it to him, told him to pull himself together. I had business to discuss. Still shaking, Frank managed to ask who I was. I told him plainly, President of the Dragon City Guardian Corps, authorized by Mayor Norton. We handle spirit elimination and civilian protection. Once Frank had cleaned up and steadied himself, I got to the point. I wanted his company's full debt collection list. He'd been mentally bracing to pay a rescue fee, had already started running numbers in his head. When he heard what I actually wanted, the relief was visible. He thought he'd gotten away cheap. I raised an eyebrow and followed up immediately. 100 million for the rescue. His life was worth a lot more than that, and I said so. Frank's face crumpled. He started bargaining, and even threatened to call the police. I laughed at that. I told him exactly who I was. Head of the 10U group. Dead or not, I was in a different league. Besides, when I saved Zane from Huaxia International last night, the going rate was 1 billion. 100 million for Frank was practically charity. Frank went quiet the moment he heard my name, but he still dug in on the price. 10 million was his absolute ceiling, he said. I stopped talking and gave Luna a look. Luna understood immediately. She quietly shifted back to her true form and slipped into the bathroom. Frank, thinking I'd dropped the subject entirely, was delighted. He immediately produced a USB drive holding 100,000 data records and handed it over, along with a contact number. The grip of his fingers had left impressions a centimeter deep in the plastic. I turned and left with Chang'e, certain he'd be calling before long. Sure enough, the elevator had barely reached the ground floor when his call came through, sobbing that a giant rabbit monster had appeared in his home. I told him calmly, second rescue, double the rate, 200 million. With the creature closing in and nowhere to run, Frank agreed without hesitation. I turned back with Chang, and Luna quietly stood down and made herself scarce. Frank folded completely. Not only did he agree to pay the 200 million, he begged me to assign Guardian Corps protection to his entire family for a full year. I locked in the deal on the spot and arranged to return the following day to collect payment and set up the escort. With the debt list in hand, I had no interest in hunting for the rest of the night. One person's strength only goes so far. To truly push back the spirits, I needed an elite team behind me. I sent Chang'e and Luna out to train on their own for a while, and told them to reach out if anything came up. Then I drove back to the estate in Junting District, and started going through the debt list. But the moment I pulled up the files, my heart sank. Every single entry was a small online loan. The largest debt was 300,000, nowhere near enough spirit crystals for an ordinary person to power up, let alone reach stage 1. I scrapped the plan immediately, and started thinking differently. I've set my sights on the mortgage market. Property prices in Dragon City are sky high, and countless people are buried under debts of millions, even tens of millions. These are exactly the kind of people the Guardian Corps needs. I set off immediately, driving straight to the home of Director Holt at Yanhuang Bank. Director Holt had already seen footage of my power on short video platforms, and with Mayor Norton's order to fully cooperate with the Dragon City Guardian Corps, he is more than happy to oblige. I get straight to the point. I want the complete debt records, mortgages, auto loans, corporate loans, all of it. Director Holt immediately arranges for Shannon, his customer service manager, to help pull the files. Shannon is too afraid to go out alone and asks me to come pick her up. I agree without hesitation. Before heading out, I also asked Director Holt to raise the receiving limit on my account, so funds can move smoothly down the line. Director Holt agrees without a second thought, and takes the chance to ask if I could station Guardian Corps members at the bank entrance in the future. I tell him I'll arrange it depending on available manpower. By then, Dragon City had already fallen into a dead silence. Under the shadow of the blood sun and the blue moon, the streets are completely empty. Only spirits and mutant beasts roam freely. I drive my Ferrari through the city, casually slaying dozens of mutant beasts that charge at the car, collecting a pile of low-tier demon orbs along the way. The spirits lurking in the shadows take one look at my power and scatter, not daring to come near. I pull up to Shannon's building and pick her up, still in her bank uniform. And together we head to the bank's headquarters to retrieve the files. Shannon successfully copies the complete debt list, and casually mentions that her best friend Crystal is carrying 6 million in bank loans, got burned by a bad relationship, has no way to pay it back, and is completely at her wit's end. My eyes light up the moment I hear it. Crystal sounds like a perfect fit for the Guardian Corps. I tell Shannon to take us to Crystal's place right away. When we meet Crystal, I come straight to the point. I'm here to recruit her for the Dragon City Guardian Corps. Crystal stares at me blankly, with no idea what she could possibly offer. I don't waste time explaining. I pull her out onto the balcony, and give her a firm order. Stare at the blue moon for 30 seconds. Don't blink. Shannon, full of doubt, follows along and gazes up at that eerie blue moon. 30 seconds later, I look at the two of them and ask, "Well, do you see anything?" "There's text," Shannon and Crystal say in unison. "What does it say?" "Read it out loud." My tone leaves no room for argument. It says name Crystal, spirit crystals 600,000, soul grade, green, level, stage 0. Below that, Crystal's 8 base physical attributes are listed out. Shannon blinks in disbelief. "Why do I have 0 spirit crystals?" Then a smug look crosses her face. "But my soul grade is blue. That's better than crystals, right? Spirits are drawn to blue grade. Green and gray are actually safer." I light a cigarette and say it without looking up. Shannon's face falls. "What determines the color?" "Looks. Money?" I answer her directly. Shannon goes quiet, then mutters with a groan. "What kind of logic is that? The poorer you are, the safer?" I nod. After the world changed, that became the rule. The wealthier you are, the more spirits come after you. The poor are left alone. Crystal stares at me, wide-eyed. "Doesn't that make you incredibly dangerous? You're worth hundreds of billions." I laugh out loud. "I owe 2 trillion. That makes me the world's richest debtor. 2 trillion spirit crystals, all mine." Crystal tilts her head, curious. "What do spirit crystals actually do?" Shannon looks like she might cry. "I don't have a single one. Does debt really give you a reward?" "You guessed it," I tell her honestly. "Only debts taken on before the apocalypse can be converted into spirit crystals. They're gene-locked. You can't transfer them or give them away." Crystal's shock gives way to excitement. She asks how to use them. I explain. "Spirit crystals upgrade your physical attributes. Follow my instructions. Focus your mind and work the panel. First, raise all 8 attributes to 100. Feel the change in your body." Crystal does it and gasps. "I feel incredible, like I'm bursting with strength." I follow up immediately. "Spend 1 million spirit crystals to advance 1 stage, then max out your Tao focus and spell power, and use the rest to fill your remaining stats." After working through it, Crystal reports she has 3,956,670 spirit crystals remaining. She is my first recruit. Worried that leveling too fast could trigger a blood reversal or damage her tendons, I call a halt and give her a quick briefing on how cultivation works against spirits, making a point to emphasize, max out Tao focus and spell power first. Those are what work against incorporeal spirits. "Whatever the president says, I'll do it," Crystal says, fully on board. I officially appoint her as a member of the Dragon City Guardian Corps, designation 003. 001 is me, 002 is Glenn, the official deputy president appointed by the authorities. I tell Crystal to protect Shannon for now and await further orders, and I make clear to both of them, everything from today stays secret, with serious consequences for anyone who talks. Shannon is annoyed about having no spirit crystals but grudgingly agrees. With everything settled, I push open the window and leap out. Crystal panics, worried I'll get hurt jumping from the 8th floor. Shannon just sighs. With his strength, he could jump from the 100th floor without a scratch. I drive away from Crystal's neighborhood and past Drake's villa on the way back. I remember the $2.5 billion debt I transferred to him, and pull over. Time to collect. The villa gates are wide open. The courtyard looks exactly the same as when I left it the other day. Just as I'm about to step inside, a figure in a white cap and black jacket comes rushing out, backpack in hand. Stop right there. I fold my arms behind my back and block the path. The figure freezes, then pulls off the cap to reveal a ghoulish fanged face and lets out a strange shriek, trying to scare me off. My vision is far sharper than any ordinary person's. One look and I see it clearly. Just a thief in a spirit disguise. I laugh coldly. Nice try. You have no idea what you're up against. Realizing the act isn't working, he pulls out a knife, demands I step aside, and starts crying about everything he's been through. His family had once been worth over $100 million. But after his father crossed Drake, the retaliation was brutal. The company collapsed, leaving $80 million in debt. His father couldn't bear it and jumped. All that debt fell on him. He came here under cover of the chaos to settle the score with Drake and take back what his family lost. When I hear he's carrying $83 million in debt, my mood instantly lifts. He's got guts and brains, willing to go after a man like Drake in the middle of the apocalypse, and sitting on a massive pool of spirit crystals from all that debt. Exactly the kind of person I need. Seeing I won't back down, he lunges at me with the knife. To me, the move looks like a turtle crawling. I barely raise a finger, pinching the blade between my index and middle fingers and snapping it clean with barely any effort. He stumbles back in terror, demanding to know if I'm human or spirit. I tell him to take off the mask, in a voice that doesn't invite debate. He refuses. I focus my mind, give one sharp command, and the mask crumbles to dust. Underneath is a young face, mid-20s, sharp features with a hint of mixed heritage, even with his legs trembling. He's still playing tough, swearing he'll get his revenge. I pull him inside and tell him straight. Drake has already been dealt with by me. He's stunned, then relieved. He introduces himself as Leon. $83 million in debt, no family left, surviving by making food deliveries. His story and his nerve both impress me. I offer him a premium cigarette and introduce myself, head of 10U Group and the exorcist who has been making waves in Dragon City. Leon recognizes me instantly and says he's in, without hesitation. I formally enlist him in the Dragon City Guardian Corps, designation 004, and remind him to keep everything secret and follow orders. I look at the cash, gold bars, and other valuables stuffed in his backpack, and hand them all back to him. Then I go through Drake's briefcase and pull out his bank cards and ID, the proof I need to reclaim the $2.5 billion debt. No one else could access them. For me, it's effortless. I bring Leon out to the courtyard and tell him to stare at the blue moon for 30 seconds to activate the panel. Leon shouts in disbelief as a virtual screen appears before him. Name, Leon. Spirit crystals, 83,270,086. Soul grade, gray. Level, stage 0. All 8 base attributes ranging from 30 to 50. Focus your mind, advance to stage 3, then max all attributes to 400. I give the order directly. Leon does exactly that. Spirit crystals burn fast, and he makes it to stage 3. But once all attributes are maxed, his body blazes with heat, energy surging inside, almost too much to contain. Follow me, I tell him. He needs to burn this off. I leap out of the villa. Leon follows, and to his own amazement clears dozens of meters in a single bound. We scan the street for a moment. A mutated Tibetan Mastiff, as large as a hippo, bursts out of nowhere, blood fresh on its jaws. It clearly just made a kill. Take it down. I step back and let Leon get his first taste of real combat. It's only a stage 2 low-level mutant beast. Leon uses his stage 3 power to wrestle it into submission after a short fight. I pull out my phone and start recording, saving the kill footage, proof needed to claim the government bounty later. After the fight, the restless energy inside Leon settles considerably. He reports back, visibly energized. I point out that his spirit crystals came from his debt, and that everything he went through is exactly what people mean by misfortune is where fortune hides. I also warn him, in the apocalypse, the greater your power, the heavier your responsibility. Follow the Guardian Core code. No reckless leveling up just to protect yourself. We exchange contact info. I tell him to train on his own for now, hunting mutant beasts to build experience. If he needs anything, he can find me at Villa 99 in the Dragon City Military District. I drive back to Drake's villa to collect the debt vouchers, then return to the military district. After a night of non-stop action, I'm completely drained. The moment I'm inside, I crash. The next morning at 9, the smell of chicken broth drifting from the kitchen pulls me awake. Chang'e brings the soup to the table in an apron. With supplies this scarce, a bowl of chicken broth is already a luxury. After eating, I go through the debt list Shannon sent over. The data shows Dragon City has barely over 120 eligible people carrying debts of 10 million or more, far short of my goal of 500 Guardian Corps members. I call Shannon right away, telling her to team up with Crystal and contact every major bank to pull more lists of people with 10 million plus debts. Shannon worries about going out, pointing out that Crystal is only stage 1, not strong enough to handle spirits. I arrange for Leon, now stage 3, to act as their personal escort and help him get the job done. After hanging up, I call Leon, tell him to escort the two of them, and give him permission to advance one stage once his energy stabilizes. Leon takes the order, burns spirit crystals to reach stage 4, maxes his attributes to 500, and comes out noticeably stronger. I know it's only a matter of time before more people activate their panels, and the debt to power secret gets out. I need to push my own strength as fast as possible and stay ahead of everyone else. Standing on the balcony, I focus my mind and work the panel, burning through a massive load of spirit crystals to reach stage 7, and maxing all 8 attributes, strength, speed, Tao focus, spell power, and the rest, to the cap of 800. A surge of energy floods through me instantly, my blood roaring. Just as I'm about to find an outlet for the power swelling inside me, my phone goes off urgently. The caller ID shows Glenn. I pick up and start to joke around, but her rushed tone cuts me off. Stop messing around. This is serious. The government building is under attack. Mayor Norton is ordering me to call you for backup right now. The government building under attack? I'm genuinely stunned. That heavily fortified structure besieged by mutant beasts? Glenn, take a breath. Tell me what's happening. Her voice comes back tight with urgency. Get here now. Spiders everywhere, swarming the building. They're the size of wild boars and the Spider King is as big as a bus. A Spider King the size of a bus? My jaw sets. In a flash, I remember how that same beast was the death of me in my past life. The killing intent rises in an instant. What a twisted coincidence. Hold the line, I say evenly. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Please hurry, Glenn pleads. Dragon City's entire leadership is inside that building. If it falls, the whole city is left leaderless. I move fast. Chang'e, who had been meditating nearby, stands and asks, "What's going on?" A massive spider swarm is attacking the government building. It's critical. I have to move now. Before I even finish speaking, I'm already heading for the door. I'm coming with you. Chang'e moves to follow, her voice firm. It's midday, and the blood sun hangs high. I frown. The blood sun's energy will drain your cultivation. Stay here. I can clear those spiders easily on my own. No, our lives are linked. If anything happens to you, my cultivation goes with it. Chang'e follows without another word. A little energy loss is nothing. Something stirs in my chest. I open the car door and say, "Get in. When we get there, you stay in the car." Luna, who had also been meditating nearby, rushes to the doorway. I give a quick instruction to stay home, and then floor it. The yellow Ferrari tears out of the driveway and screams toward the government building. On the way, I call Leon immediately to redirect him. Change of plans. Drop what you're doing and get to the government building. Help clear out the spiders. Got it. I'm nearby. On my way. Leon had just hit stage 4 and was aching for a real fight. The moment he gets the order, he pushes to full speed, fast as the wind. He reaches the government building in just a few minutes and arrives first. What he sees stops him cold. A seething mass of spider beasts flooding in from every direction, crashing over the defenses like a tide. The garrison soldiers open up with everything. Rifles, heavy cannons, round after round. But there are too many. The defensive line breaks again and again, and the soldiers are forced back inside the building. The bus-sized Spider King holds position at the rear, directing the swarm to press forward inch by inch, closing in on the building walls. Dragon City Guardian Corps, Leon, arriving to assist. The battle cry rings out across the field. Leon drops from above, his stage 4 power fully unleashed. Every strike lands with brutal force. Each hit smashing spider beasts into the ground and clearing wide stretches of space in moments. The Spider King quickly locks onto Leon and fires thick streams of webbing, wrapping him layer by layer. No matter how hard Leon fights to break free, he is slowly dragged toward the Spider King's massive jaws. The situation turns critical in an instant. Leon, catch! Just as everyone holds their breath, I arrive in the Ferrari at full speed. I slam the brakes and launch into the air, pulling the celestial halberd from the weapon vault and hurling it straight toward the trapped Leon. The divine weapon tears through the air, shredding every strand of webbing in its path. Leon catches the halberd cleanly and breaks free in an instant, swinging back hard, but the Spider King's massive claws clamp down and the surrounding swarm closes in from all sides. Watch out! That Spider King is a stage 8 mutant beast! Chang ignores the toll on her cultivation, leaps out of the car and enters the fight. Her sleeves sweep through the air in wide arcs, sending the swarming spiders flying, and the battle line holds. The soldiers inside the building see it, and their morale surges. They push back with fiercer fire than before. Dragon City's leadership, watching from inside, finally lets out a breath. Seeing the sheer scale of the swarm, too many to clear with ordinary attacks, I open the virtual weapon vault immediately, and zero in on the high-tier celestial flamebow available for real-world rental. Its arrows carry true fire that ignores all defense, perfect for cutting through a swarm this size. The rental cost is steep, but this battle can't wait. I confirm the rental without hesitation. The celestial flamebow materializes in my hands. I knock a deep crimson arrow and draw the bow to full tension. Leon pulls back 100 meters. I give the signal. The arrow tears through the air and erupts into a blazing fireball that sweeps across the battlefield. Every spider within range consumed by true fire in an instant. A single shot wipes out nearly 1,000 spiders. The arrow punches straight through the Spider King's armored shell, drawing a howl of agony. Everyone watching from inside is stunned. This kind of power dwarfs any conventional weapon. It's on a completely different level. I seize the moment, leaping to the roof of the building to take the high ground, and draw the bow again and again. Each arrow of true fire sweeps another massive section of the swarm clean. The third arrow drives straight through the Spider King's skull. The beast that killed me in my past life is consumed by true fire in an instant and dissolves into a brilliant silver demon orb. With their king gone, the swarm collapses into chaos and scatters in a blind retreat. The battle is won. I put away the celestial flame bow. Its cost is too high to use carelessly. I then present the celestial halberd to Leon, a reward for fighting well, because clear rewards and consequences are what build a real team. The soldiers press the advantage and sweep up the remaining spiders. Many of them follow Leon's example and absorb the scattered demon orbs, boosting their own strength. I walk back across the battlefield. Glenn comes forward with her weapon, asking if I'm alright. I look at this partner who fought alongside me, and press the silver demon orb left behind by the Spider King into her palm. This is from a stage 8 mutant beast. It'll help you break through to the next tier fast and unlock your attribute growth potential. Glenn stares at it, caught between shock and excitement. She absorbs the orb following my instructions, and immediately feels a wave of clarity wash over her. Her senses sharpened, her physical power surging. Has your virtual panel activated yet? I watch the last of the swarm scatter and decide not to give chase. I grab Glenn by the arm and head toward Dragon City's leadership. We talk on the way. After the world changed, a strange new rule took hold. For humans and spirits and mutant beasts alike, any death that isn't natural causes the body to dissolve instantly. Humans who fall become soul essence, spirits and mutant beasts become demon orbs. This strange phenomenon at least spares the world from rotting corpses and the plague that would follow. If tens of thousands of boar-sized mutant spiders were left to pile up, just burning the remains would take enormous manpower. As it stands, the world is spared that ordeal. With the battle over, the surviving 10,000 or so giant spiders flee in a disorganized rout. The more than 2,000 soldiers give a token pursuit of 4 or 5 miles before pulling back. Only 30 helicopters launched from the Air Force Base continue to track the swarm, planning to deploy large-scale weapons once the spiders are fully clear of the city. Within 5 miles of the government building, every spider corpse has already vanished. All that remains are spent shells, collapsed walls blown apart by explosives, and a haze of smoke that refuses to lift, silent witnesses to the desperate battle that just took place. Glenn and I walk side by side through the crowd scrambling for demon orbs and make our way toward the government building. On the way, she tells me that after following my instruction to stare at the blue moon for 30 seconds, a virtual panel appeared before her, like a VR projection. I immediately ask if she has spirit crystals. Glenn shakes her head. Her panel shows stage 0, soul grade blue and 0 spirit crystals. I ask whether Mayor Norton, General Leo, and Chief Kane have activated their panels. Glenn nods. They have, but every one of them also has 0 spirit crystals. They're all baffled by their bad luck and even more curious how I ended up with 3 billion spirit crystals and the power to match. I shrug and say with a grin, think of it like a lottery. You can't expect everyone to win the jackpot. The words are barely out when Glenn lights up. Her panel has updated. She's jumped straight to stage 1. I give a slight nod and say pointedly that as the deputy president of the Dragon City Guardian Corps, she's going to need to keep pushing. Glenn catches the tease and scoffs, firing back that she's already giving it everything she's got. Just then, Leon jogs over, having absorbed a good haul of demon orbs, and holds out the celestial halberd toward me with both hands, his eyes barely hiding his longing for it, saying honestly that the weapon felt like an extension of himself. He took down over 800 giant spiders with it. His expression shifts to one of regret. He mentions that even the cheapest weapon in the weapon vault, the Gale Silver Spear, costs 5 million spirit crystals, and he can't bring himself to spend that. I clap him on the shoulder and say without a moment's hesitation, the celestial halberd is yours. Serve well, and there will be plenty more rewards ahead. Leon is overwhelmed. He drops to one knee and says this halberd is worth 1.5 billion spirit crystals, something he never dared to dream of owning. He swears to follow my lead and obey every order without question. I pull him to his feet and joke that we're done with old-fashioned formalities. Leon means every word. He says I'm a leader worth following. I tell him to call me Damien from now on, then introduce him to Glenn, explaining that she's the officially appointed deputy who works alongside me, Director of Public Safety at the Police Bureau. They exchange greetings. Leon praises Glenn for her decisiveness and sharp capability. Glenn says she expects he'll prove to be a valuable asset to me. I give Leon his next order. Go protect Shannon and the others, per the original plan. Leon takes the order, hoists the celestial halberd onto his shoulder, and heads off. As he passes the yellow Ferrari, he glances inside almost instinctively and spots a woman sitting there, still composed, an air of cool distance around her. He offers a polite greeting. She gives the faintest nod in return. Nothing more. Leon doesn't push it. He heads straight for his destination. I follow Glenn into the mayor's office. Mayor Norton and his colleagues are already waiting. The moment I walk in, the room breaks into applause. They thank me with genuine emotion, saying I saved the entire city, praising my power, and urging me to build the Guardian Corps as fast as possible to secure the city's defenses. Once the pleasantries wind down, I skip the small talk and cut straight to business. I need to discuss payment with Mayor Norton, and I'd like everyone else to step out. Mayor Norton waves his hand. Everyone clears out except for General Leo, Chief Kane, and Glenn. The room empties. Mayor Norton shows me to a seat and hands me a cigar, lighting it himself. Then he comes clean. The The financial authorities above have rejected the funding request, stating that Dragon City's security is a local matter and no dedicated funds will be allocated from above. I'm on my feet the moment I hear it. Making no effort to hide my anger, I tell them plainly, I just burned through a massive amount of spirit crystals in that battle. I'm not doing this for free. Mayor Norton quickly moves to calm me down. He says he's already used his authority to arrange payment from Dragon City's own fiscal budget for the elimination of spirits and mutant beasts. Chief Kane adds that Dragon City's economy is strong, and the treasury has more than enough reserves to cover the cost. My anger eases a little. I say it doesn't matter who pays, as long as the funds land in the Dragon City Guard account. Then I lay out the breakdown. Combined, my people took down 7,000 mutant spiders. At 100,000 spirit crystals per kill, that comes to 700 million. Add 100 million for the Silver Spider King. Total, 800 million. I'll have my finance contact handle the handoff. Chief Kane immediately objects. He thinks the rate is too high. General Leo echoes the sentiment, pushing to negotiate down. I do the math calmly. The military's own efforts against the spider swarm burned through enormous amounts of equipment and came at a serious human cost, with total losses far exceeding 3 billion. My asking price of 800 million is more than reasonable, and the payment for my previous single rescue mission alone exceeded that amount. Chief Kane has nothing left to say. General Leo falls equally silent. At that moment, the command room's main screen suddenly switches to a live feed. The Air Force squadron leader reports in a panic. Tracking the spider swarm outside the city, they were ambushed by enormous raptors. Casualties are heavy. He's requesting permission to pull back. The feed fills with piercing raptor screams, as over 100 colossal eagles appear on screen, enormous in size, moving faster than fighter jets, with talons and beaks hard as steel. Several lead-rank eagles take turns striking. 30 fighter jets take damage and go down one after another. The squadron leader's own aircraft is swallowed by flames. The feed cuts to black. General Leo goes pale and immediately orders a retreat, but the word that comes back is devastating. All 30 aircraft are unaccounted for. The general sinks into his chair in disbelief. In the span of minutes, he has lost nearly a third of his fleet. Modern military hardware proving utterly helpless against mutant raptors. I offer a quiet word to steady the room and note that the losses from this aerial engagement are staggering. General Leo's lips tremble. He can't find words. Mayor Norton reads the room and picks up the phone immediately, calling in Lynn, the head of the fiscal bureau, and ordering her to coordinate with me and pay the agreed amount in full. The directness catches me slightly off guard. I tell him honestly that I'm not here to gouge anyone. Lynn and I exchange contact information. I let her know that Shannon, my finance manager, will handle the coordination on my end. I also casually mention her son Ben, saying we've crossed paths a few times, but that's a story for another day. With the payment terms settled, I stand and take my leave. Mayor Norton, General Leo and the others walk me all the way to the elevator, urging me again and again to accelerate recruitment. Dragon City's safety, they say, rests entirely on my shoulders. As I walk out of the government building, the blood sun is low on the horizon, and the blue moon hangs high. I get in the car and head home. On the way back, I mention the fact that my companion risked herself to fight beside me. She says honestly that if anything had happened to me, her own cultivation would have been destroyed along with it. It wasn't purely out of sentiment. I ask offhandedly about how the bond between lifespan and cultivation works, and learn that as long as I die of natural causes, the bond dissolves. Apparently someone is actually hoping for exactly that. The little warmth I felt a moment ago evaporates. I can only laugh it off. Back home, after a quick meal, I go to the study and start calling through the debt list Shannon provided, one person at a time. The first name on the list is Ben. When he hears why I'm calling, he hangs up on me, citing the apocalypse as his reason. I decide to visit in person. Nightfall comes, and the spirits that had been lying low begin to stir, prowling for soul essence to power up. My travel companion also prepares to head out on her own hunt. Before leaving, I make sure to warn them both to stay safe. High-stage spirits are out there now, and I tell them not to take on anything beyond their strength. I take the SUV I'd been planning to give Leon and set off, address in hand. Ben is my first stop. I explain everything. Walk him through activating the virtual panel, help him advance to stage 3, max out all his core attributes, spending the spirit crystals it takes. He still has a solid balance left over after. I appoint him on the spot as Guardian Corps Member 005 and make clear he is to follow discipline and obey orders. I also hand him a stage 3 weapon as a welcome gift, and tell him to use the list to recruit people in his area, and assemble at the 10U group tower by 4 in the morning. Ben is genuinely grateful and takes the order without a word of hesitation. I leave Ben's place and head to my second target. No one answers the phone, and when I push the door open, the apartment is in shambles. A family photo scattered across the floor. They didn't make it. I let out a quiet sigh, straighten the photo before I go, and leave with a pang of guilt. My third target is Hugo, with a debt of 3.5 billion. A debt that size means a massive pool of spirit crystals, enough to push him to a high stage. I had hoped to bring him on board. I show up unannounced to show good faith, but Hugo's son tells me that Hugo has already activated his virtual panel and figured out how debt converts to spirit crystals on his own. He's sitting on enormous debt, already at a decent level, out there training and pushing his stage higher, and quietly building his own team. And the son actually has the nerve to invite me to serve as Hugo's deputy. I swallow my irritation and leave with a smile. That's when it hits me. The secret is already out, everywhere. Countless people must have activated their panels by now and cracked the system. Some, like Hugo, are ambitious enough to go it alone. I need to move faster if I'm going to stay ahead. My fourth target is Quinn. She works in the restaurant industry, carrying 68 million in debt. When she hears that debt converts to spirit crystals, she's overjoyed and tells me that counting her other debts, she has nearly 400 million in total. She knows how dangerous it is to go it alone and readily agrees to join the Guardian Corps. Her only request is a management role. I appoint her on the spot as Guardian Corps member 006 and leader of the Vermilion Bird Unit, then guide her through leveling up and maxing his attributes. I tell her to recruit from the list and report to assembly before dawn. Quinn takes the order and heads out with fire in her eyes. My next target is a contractor in the renovation industry, 48 million in debt, but he politely declines, saying he's already joined Hugo's group. My jaw tightens. Hugo is already poaching recruits from right under my nose. I make a silent decision. Secure what I can now and deal with Hugo later. My last visit of the night is Marco, 39 years old, a retired athlete, impressively tall, once one of the best in his field, but brought down by bad habits that left him 200 million in the hole. Under my guidance, he levels up fast and becomes Guardian Corps member 007, swearing on the spot to serve until his last breath. I hand him the recruitment list as well, and he takes off in his car full of spirit, disappearing into the night. I flick away my cigarette and get back in the car. There's probably only one person like me in the world. Not everyone can rack up 2 trillion in debt, but there can be countless people like Hugo. People who, once they get their hands on this kind of power, start quietly building their own armies, hungry to carve out something for themselves in the apocalypse. Back-to-back recruits like Quinn and Marco have lifted my mood considerably. The urge to go after Hugo right now fades. Time to level up. I ease off the accelerator and open the virtual panel with my mind. First, I burn through 12.8 billion spirit crystals to reach stage 8, then spend 204.8 billion more to max out all 8 attributes: strength, speed, reaction, jump, constitution, endurance, Tao focus, and spell power, to the cap of 900, stage 8, all 8 attributes at 900. Energy surges through me in an instant, every vein coursing with power. I continue working through the list, visiting targets one by one, while hunting spirits along the way to channel the explosive energy building inside me. After dealing with 3 spirits and 1 mutant rat king, the raging force inside me finally begins to settle. By 3:30 in the morning, I've added 3 more members: Wade, a full-time stock trader with 42 million in debt, designation 008; Tina, the female owner of a pharmaceutical company with 66 million in debt, designation 009; and Kyle, a down-and-out singer with 75 million in debt, designation 010. With dawn approaching, I don't send them back out to recruit. Instead, I lead them all back to the 99-story 10U Group Tower. Once a thriving hub of activity, the building now stands completely empty. I decide this will be the permanent base of the Dragon City Guardian Corps. The Shu family's legacy crumbled here. I'm going to rebuild it from the same ground, getting back up exactly where I fell. Turn on every light in the building. I give the order as I step out of the car. The 3 members who have already leveled up are buzzing with energy. They move fast, and in moments the entire building blazes to life. 99 floors of light cutting through a city swallowed by darkness, like a brilliant jewel blazing in the night. I turn to Wade and tell him to track down a neon sign maker at first light and get the Dragon City Guardian Corps name mounted on the building. Let the Dragon City Guard's light shine over the whole city. Wade gives an enthusiastic thumbs up. President, that's a vision worth following. After 4, Ben, Quinn, and Marco arrive one after another. I had given each of them 10 recruitment targets. Quinn brings back 7, the best result. Ben comes in second with 6. Marco, the former athlete, only manages 4, and got into a physical confrontation with people who tried to block his recruiting and insulted the Dragon City Guard. Both sides came out bruised. Marco stands before me with a swollen lip and barely contained fury, explaining what happened. I don't criticize him. Instead, I praise him in front of everyone. Marco, you did the right thing. In the apocalypse, we don't swallow our pride. Never lose that fire in your blood. I then appoint him on the spot as leader of the White Tiger Unit, clap him firmly on his broad chest, and address the whole group. The Dragon City Guardian Corps can stay humble and disciplined, but we will never be weak or back down. Anyone who dares disrespect us gets hit back, head on. Marco clenches his fist, eyes full of admiration, and shouts his agreement, saying he'll follow me to the death. Ben then reports that 5 or 6 people followed him all night, intimidating him and blocking his recruits, and seriously slowed him down. Anger flares inside me instantly. I flick the cigarette from my fingers. It cuts straight through the double-pane glass beside me and shatters it. Quinn and Ben quickly step forward to calm me down, urging me to wait until we have enough manpower before settling the score. After a full night of work, the total new recruits come to 21. Combined with me, Glenn, and Crystal, the Dragon City Guardian Corps officially reaches 24 members. I gather everyone in the meeting room and address the group. The Dragon City Guard is an officially recognized organization, with me as president and members numbered in the order they joined. I tell them that joining means safety, payment, and various rewards, but also that they must follow the code, carry out orders, keep secrets, and never cross the line. I also announce that this building is the permanent headquarters of the Dragon City Guard, and that all members will live and sleep here, ready to move at any moment. Yes, President! All 21 respond in unison, loud, crisp, and full of fire. After the meeting, I keep Quinn, Ben, Wade, and Tina behind, hand out the remaining recruitment lists, and order them to keep expanding the roster. I also have White Tiger Unit Leader Marco hold the headquarters with 8 members against any spirit incursions. Quinn smiles with easy confidence and is the first to pledge. Ben raises his concern again. Hugo's West River Alliance is poaching people everywhere, badly hurting their numbers. Without that interference, they could have done much better. A cold glint flashes in my eyes, and the urge to act sharpens. Looks like it's time to put this arrogant fool in his place. Among the people Quinn recruited is a young female artist named Vivian, who took on $50 million in debt putting together an art exhibition. After activating her virtual panel, she joins the Dragon City Guard without hesitation. Designation 016, assigned to the Vermilion Bird Unit. I give her a gentle assignment: design the Dragon City Guard emblem and member ID badge. Vivian is visibly moved by the trust placed in her and agrees immediately, promising to pour everything into it. With everything arranged, I drive back home to the military district. The smell of food drifting from inside settles something in my chest. Worried about Chang'e and Luna being out there alone, I eat while making it very clear to both of them. No going out alone from now on, they stay close to me. Luna suddenly scoots over with a mischievous grin. Someone's been talking trash about you online. My mood shifts. I take the phone and look. On screen, an old man in a red robe with a white beard is fighting several giant bears, with captions calling him the greatest exorcist on the planet, and openly claiming that Hugo is far superior to me. At the end of the video, Hugo himself appears, calling on anyone with over $5 million in debt to join the West River Alliance. The inflammatory pitch drives the video past 1 million views in just 3 hours. The comment section is flooded with praise for him and attacks on me. Chang'e, watching beside me, is indignant on my behalf. I stand up sharply, knuckles cracking as I tighten my fist, and say in a cold, even voice, he can form his own group, I won't stop him. But pulling stunts for attention, deceiving the public, and openly provoking me, I have to make him understand what he's dealing with. I drop any thought of rest and drive straight to Hugo's place. Chang'e and Luna, worried I'll be outnumbered, insist on coming. I can't talk them out of it, so I swap to a spacious black Cullinan. On the way, I tell them both to stay in the car and watch from there. I can't have their identities exposed. Luna asks seriously if I'll protect them. I look at them steadily, and say each word clearly. Anyone who lays a finger on either of you goes through me first. 20 minutes later, we pull up outside Hugo's villa. I remind them one more time to stay put, then stride forward and kick the retractable gate clean off its tracks. Hugo, get out here! My voice cuts through the night. The front doors fly open and 40 or 50 people pour out, surrounding me on all sides. A few look like rookies, but most are hardened and menacing, all of them hurling threats. I let out a cold laugh, launch myself into the air, and strike with dual blades, reducing the European-style villa to rubble in moments. As the dust settles, I stand with my hands clasped behind my back, a presence that silences the crowd. The crowd goes pale, recognizing me as the Guardian Corps exorcist, then starts shouting that Hugo has gone to Yujing and isn't here. I sweep the crowd with a cold gaze, and make my intentions clear. I'm here for a direct confrontation with Hugo. Hugo's son steps forward, trying to hold his ground, but a single sharp word from me cuts him down, and he scrambles to connect a video call to Hugo. Hugo appears on screen in his usual red robes, feigning composure, and lets his people film the exchange to twist the narrative and pin the blame on me. I confront him directly, calling out every move he's made, poaching my recruits, smearing my name, sabotaging my operations. I demand a fair fight. Hugo plays along, setting the time as 8 in the evening. 3 days from now, at Dragon River Bridge, a public showdown streamed live for the entire world. The stakes: if he loses, the West River Alliance disbands. If I lose, the Dragon City Guard disbands, and I give up the official partnership with the government. I agree without a flicker of hesitation, confirm the time and place in a cold, level voice, and hang up. The Cullinan tears away into the night. Back at Dragon City Guard headquarters, Vivian has already exceeded expectations. The emblem is designed, produced, and mounted at the top of the building. The enormous character for Dragon radiates raw dominance. I give her full credit for the work, then tell her to finalize the ID badge design as soon as possible, and build in anti-counterfeiting measures. No one impersonates the Dragon City Guard. The 99-story building has no shortage of rooms, and Quinn has arranged a full supply of ingredients and professional cooks, completely solving the food and accommodation situation for everyone, and giving the team a fully sustainable base. I take a 2-hour rest in the top-floor office and wake up fully restored. Shannon and Crystal arrive, escorted by Leon. Shannon has successfully gathered debt lists from 8 banks across Dragon City, filtering out 794 individuals, each carrying 10 million or more in debt, a strong foundation for future recruitment. She then gives me a serious warning. Hugo is not someone to underestimate. On the surface, he's a seafood merchant. Behind closed doors, he's a gang boss. His reach is wide, and he's a seasoned career debtor, with powerful backing in Yujing. She urges me to go into this fight with my eyes open. I appoint Shannon as my executive assistant, putting her in charge of all financial coordination for the Dragon City Guard, and send Crystal and Leon with her to the administrative building to handle the official payment from the government. I then gather everyone in the third-floor cafeteria to formally introduce the core members and the newly added support team, and raise a glass to the official establishment of Dragon City Guard headquarters. During the gathering, people start venting. The West River Alliance has hired online trolls to run a smear campaign, and they've twisted the footage of me demolishing Hugo's villa, flipping the story to paint me as petty and the aggressor. Marco, Wade, and the others are furious, cursing the West River Alliance for its shameless tactics. I drain my glass in one go, eyes sharp as a blade, and say with full conviction, the best act always comes last. 3 days from now, everyone will see exactly what's what. As dinner wraps up, I hand Quinn a USB drive and say quietly, this contains the names of 794 people in Dragon City with debts of 10 million or more. Divide up the work and start recruiting immediately. We need more people fast. Yes, President, Quinn responds, unable to hide her excitement. With Glenn temporarily away and the military-appointed deputy still nowhere to be seen, Quinn has become the number 2 figure in the Dragon City Guardian Corps. I lay out assignments, Marco holds the headquarters with 8 members, Vivian stays back to rush the badge production, and all remaining Dragon City Guard members head out to quietly recruit from the list. As the blue moon rises, Chang'e and Luna head out as usual to hunt spirits. Shannon, who has just finished collecting the government payment from the Fiscal Bureau, returns with Leon and has something urgent to report. I pull Leon aside first, into the bedroom, and lower my voice. This stays between us. Chang'e and Luna are spirits from a painting. They absorb human soul essence to grow stronger, but refuse to harm innocents, so they follow the spirits and act on the opportunities that arise. Your job is to stay with them at all times and get them back safely before the blood sun rises. Leon is stunned, but clasps his fists and swears immediately. President, you have my word. As long as I'm breathing, no one touches either of them. Once Leon is gone, I call Shannon in for her report. She warns me about the threat Hugo poses. Billions in debt, a massive pool of spirit crystals, and the ambition to go head-to-head with the Guardian Corps. This man is dangerous. I hear her out without comment, settle cross-legged on the sofa, focus my mind, and open the virtual panel. Time to push further. I burn through 25.6 billion spirit crystals to advance to Stage 9, then spend 409.6 billion more to max all 8 attributes to the Stage 9 cap. The panel updates in real time. Stage 9. Strength, 1000. Speed, 1000. Reaction, 1000. Jump, 1000. 1000. Dao focus. Constant Stage 8 to Stage 9, and maxing everything, costs a total of 6.5 billion spirit crystals. The cost multiplies with every stage. But for someone sitting on trillions of spirit crystals, it barely registers. Hugo, on the other hand, has only a few billion, and for him, every stage is a wall. I'm just about to head out to hunt mutant beasts and build up more spirit crystals, when, at 8:34 in the evening, Glenn calls, her voice unusually serious. President, I need to report something urgent. I light a cigarette and wait. Glenn tells me that while dropping off some documents, she overheard Mayor Norton taking a call from Yujing. The higher-ups are unhappy that Norton approved the Guardian Corps payment on his own authority, but Norton held firm against the pressure, taking full personal responsibility and making clear he would not let the Guardian Corps be undermined. More troubling. The higher-ups are suggesting the government partner with Hugo's West River Alliance instead, simply because Hugo claims he'll defend the city for free. I laugh coldly. Hugo is a career debtor and a gang boss. In terms of reliability, how can he possibly compare to the Guardian Corps? Equipment, supplies, operational pay, compensation for the fallen. Every single cost of running 500 Guardian Corps members requires funding. Glenn sighs in agreement, then lowers her voice to share the key insight. Norton let me overhear that conversation on purpose. He wants you to know you have his support. He's standing firmly behind the Guardian Corps. Something clears in my mind. I'm genuinely grateful for Norton's trust and protection. Glenn says with full seriousness, President, you have to beat Hugo. You have to protect the reputation of the Dragon City Guardian Corps. After hanging up, Shannon suggests going straight for the root. First, gather solid proof that Hugo is colluding with spirits and betraying humanity. Then have him taken down by the authorities. A clean, legitimate way to eliminate the threat while reinforcing the Guardian Corps' credibility. I agree completely. Combined with intelligence Luna gathered earlier, the full plan snaps into place in my mind. I drive to the administrative building immediately and find Glenn. Getting straight to the point, does she know anyone who has a serious grudge against Hugo and knows where the bodies are buried? Glenn thinks for a moment, then the name comes right out. Jay, real name Jet, used to be Dragon City's top fish merchant, sworn brother to Hugo, ranked 9th among their brotherhood. Then Hugo set him up, reported him for tax evasion and smuggling, had him locked up for 8 years, and left him with 500 million in debt. The man hates Hugo to the bone. I decide on the spot to pay Jay a visit. With Glenn's help, I get into Dragon City prison without issue, and meet him face to face. Jay is in his early 40s, broad-shouldered, with sharp eyes that cut right through you. Prison hasn't dulled his edge one bit. I offer him a cigarette, and come straight to the point. I need you to help me bring Hugo down, destroy him completely. 8 years of compressed hatred detonates in an instant. I don't want money, he says. I just want Hugo to pay. We seal it with a handshake, and I hand him a note with the instructions. He reads it, destroys it immediately, and says he'll take on every ounce of blame alone if it comes to that. Learning that he carries 500 million in debt makes me even more pleased. Those spirit crystals are the perfect asset to get him inside Hugo's circle. I walk him out of prison right then, guide him to stare at the blue moon and activate his panel, then help him burn through his spirit crystals to reach stage 4. I then spend 2.5 billion spirit crystals to acquire the dragon-slaying blade and hand it to him. Offer this to Hugo as proof of loyalty, It's more than enough to earn his trust. Remember, 3 days from now, Hugo and I face off publicly at Dragon River Bridge. Your job is to gather evidence when the moment is right and lock in proof of his crimes. Jay bows in gratitude, swears his loyalty to the death, receives the designation 025, and disappears into the shadows. After leaving prison and wrapping up his loose ends, Jay positions himself near the West River Alliance headquarters and waits. The West River Alliance is riding high at this point. Nearly 200 members coming and going, and Hugo's people have recruited a swarm of streamers to hype the Dragon River Bridge showdown until it's everywhere online. The following evening, Hugo returns by helicopter, dressed in his signature Tang robe, posing as a grandmaster. His followers cheer in unison. Jay seizes the moment, steps forward, and drops to his knees in repentance, delivering a convincing confession of past wrongs and producing a token to prove his sincerity. He then drops the news that he's carrying hundreds of millions in debt. Hugo is desperate for high-debt recruits to bulk up his ranks, and when Jay presents the dragon-slaying blade, worth 2.5 billion spirit crystals, as a pledge of allegiance, Hugo drops every guard and takes him in as a trusted Inner Circle member, sharing the debt to Spirit Crystal secret and keeping Jay by his side everywhere he goes. Desperate to power up before the fight, Hugo takes Jay's bait and secretly colludes with spirits, plotting to sacrifice wealthy targets in exchange for high-tier spirit cores to push his level higher. What Hugo doesn't know is that every move he makes is being captured by Jay's hidden recording device and transmitted to me in real time. Over the next 3 days, I level up at a steady, calculated pace, pushing from stage 9 all the way to stage 12, maxing every attribute along the way, burning through 931.7 billion spirit crystals in total, and leaving Hugo's power level in the dust. Meanwhile, Quinn and the others work through the recruitment list, and despite the West River Alliance constantly poaching targets, they still bring in 234 new members. The Dragon City Guardian Corps now stands at 255 members. I reorganize everyone into 5 units with clear roles and responsibilities. The Azure Dragon unit is led by Leon in an acting capacity, specializing in incorporeal spirits. Dao focus and spell power are the priority attributes. Within the unit, Blade carries 23 billion in debt, the second largest spirit crystal holder in the entire Guardian Corps after me. The White Tiger unit is led by Marco, with Ben as deputy, built to take on massive mutant beasts. Strength is the core attribute. The Vermilion Bird unit is commanded by Quinn, made up primarily of female members, designed to counter airborne raptors. Speed and jump are the focus attributes. Vivian serves as deputy leader. The Black Tortoise unit is temporarily overseen by Wade, with Gary as deputy, focusing on agility and reaction, while awaiting Jay's return to take over as full leader. The Kirin unit is managed by Tina in an acting capacity, weaker in combat strength, but responsible for city rescue operations and logistical support. The Blood Sun sinks below the horizon. The Blue Moon hangs high. The hour of reckoning draws near. I assemble everyone in the headquarters plaza, lay down the rules clearly, and assign security positions. Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird units cover a 10-mile security perimeter around Dragon River Bridge. White Tiger holds the eastern district. Black Tortoise locks down the western district, watching for spirits that might exploit the chaos. Kirin stays at headquarters on standby to support wherever needed. Everyone is worried about me going alone. Hugo has over 1,000 followers behind him. They urge me to take backup. I laugh openly, and the words come with total confidence. Even against 10,000 I go forward. A mob of amateurs is nothing to fear. The Guardian Corps' true mission is to protect the people, not to follow me to a showdown. I then call over Rocky, our hacker, hand him the USB drive containing Jay's recorded evidence, and order him to coordinate with Kyle to switch the observation tower's giant screen to the footage of Hugo colluding with spirits the moment the fight begins, exposing him to the entire world. I also ask Glenn to contact the military and request that soldiers help defend the city while the showdown draws away attention. With everything in place, Leon still can't let it go and insists on coming with me. I put a hand on his shoulder. You're acting leader of the Azure Dragon unit. That's a real responsibility. I only need Chang'e and Luna with me for this. I whistle up toward the roof, and Chang'e and Luna drift down gracefully. The 3 of us get into the Black Cullinan. The engine roars as we pull out of the Dragon City Guard compound and head straight for Dragon River Bridge by the sea. Dragon River Bridge is already packed wall to wall with people. The city's residents, who have had nothing but fear and dread for weeks, swept up by the relentless online hype, have flooded here in person just to witness this showdown with their own eyes, to see whether it's me, the one who first made waves, or the rising star they're calling Master Hugo, who is truly the top exorcist of this age. The bridge, usually shrouded in gloom, blazes with neon light tonight, alive with noise and endless debate. Some in the crowd are anxious. A gathering this size could draw spirits, but most are convinced that Master Hugo is the real deal, praising his recorded kills of giant bear beasts with near reverence. Plenty whisper among themselves, puzzled why the government works with the Dragon City Guardian Corps, while ignoring the West River Alliance that claims to work for free. The theories fly thick and fast, and the atmosphere crackles with heat and tension. The overwhelming majority of the crowd is rooting for Hugo. The streamers on the West River Alliance's payroll are pumping out heavily edited highlight clips to build his image further, and the monster-slaying videos rack up billions of views. This showdown has long since outgrown Dragon City. It's the focus of all of Flame Nation and the entire world. Over 1,000 streamers are live simultaneously, and the total online audience breaks 100 million. The giant screen on the 368-meter observation tower at the center of the bridge loops footage of Hugo's monster kills in an endless reel. Master Hugo's power knows no limits. West River Alliance, #1 in the world. The chants rise and fall. Hugo strides onto the bridge in his deep red tang robe and matching red martial arts shoes, surrounded by 300 followers and nearly 1,000 black-clad bodyguards radiating total confidence. Dozens of banners embroidered with Alliance and his name snap in the wind, an imposing display of force. His followers shout the crowd to either side, forcing a 100-meter clearing in the middle for the fight. 750. I'm still nowhere to be seen. The crowd's chatter shifts instantly. Mockery ripples through the masses. Many declare I've chickened out, and the Dragon City Guard gets dragged through the mud along with me. Then, at 7:55, a black Cullinan eases to a stop at the edge of the crowd. The crush of people makes it impossible to drive onto the bridge. The sunroof opens. A figure shoots into the air and vanishes from sight in an instant. The next moment, I land in the center of the bridge. White suit, white shoes, posture straight, expression sharp. The river wind stirs my white jacket. I look like something that fell from the heavens. The crowd erupts, wave after wave of gasps. No one caught how I moved, only that it was impossibly fast. Plenty of people flip sides on the spot, saying my presence alone crushes everything else in the vicinity. Hugo had been quietly savoring what he thought was an uncontested win. The moment he sees my entrance, something drops in his chest. He fought hard to reach stage 8 and came in feeling invincible, having been misled by faulty intel that I had limited resources and power. Now, seeing me in person, he realizes with a jolt just how badly he underestimated this fight, and a chill spreads through him that he can't shake. Hugo, I fold my arms and let the cold settle into my voice. What you've been doing, deceiving the world and stealing its admiration, is beneath contempt. Hugo's shame flares into rage. He strikes back loudly. I protect Dragon City for free. I shelter the people. You charge the government for every job you do. Let the world decide who's right. Before the last word fades, the observation tower screen cuts to new footage. A classified recording plays for the entire world. Hugo inside a luxury villa, committing cold-blooded murder, then feeding the body to spirits, before turning around and slaying those same spirits to earn glory. The crowd explodes. People finally see the monster behind the mask. The cheers that filled the air moments ago are drowned out by a roar of outrage. Hugo's face goes ashen. He knows he's been trapped. He whips around and stares at Jay, furious and desperate, but Jay is already turning on him, stepping forward and exposing every crime to the crowd. The West River Alliance members are shattered. Many announce they're out on the spot. Even Hugo's most loyal followers strip off their uniforms and scatter. The once formidable alliance collapses in moments. Its banners are trampled underfoot by the same crowd that was cheering for it. Cornered and raging, Hugo draws his blade and lunges at Jay in a last desperate strike, but I'm several times faster than he is. Before anyone can follow the movement, Hugo is locked in my grip, completely powerless. I denounce him for crimes against humanity, in a voice that carries across the bridge, then finish the job, ending his reign of false virtue for good. His remains are hurled into the churning waters of Dragon River. Jay moves in and sweeps up the remaining loyalists, leaving no loose ends. The crowd applauds. People everywhere declare that Hugo got exactly what he deserved. What little remains of the West River Alliance melts away into the crowd and is gone. Just as the crowd's energy is at its peak, screams of terror erupt from the outer edges. Chaos takes over instantly. Over a dozen massive spirits with human heads and monkey bodies crash into the crowd, agile, savage, and merciless. The Monkey King leading them stands 10 meters tall, its destructive power terrifying. The Azure Dragon unit's signal flare streaks into the sky. Leon, now at stage 5, charges in with the Celestial Halberd, leading the charge into battle against the monkey spirits. He cuts one down within a handful of exchanges, but then one of them shrieks that the Demon King is coming, and the situation turns deadly serious. I launch myself up to the midpoint of the observation tower, pour my inner power into my voice and call out to the crowd, ordering everyone to crouch in place and hold their position to avoid a stampede, but the calm barely lasts. The river surface surges suddenly. A massive fishman specter bursts out of the water and snatches several civilians. Panic erupts again. I dive down immediately, subduing the fishman specter in an instant and neutralizing the threat, then passing the demon orb earned from the kill to Leon, to help push his power higher. Luna, watching from inside the car, is practically drooling, desperate to go out and absorb the soul essence, but Chang'e holds her back. With the entire world watching this bridge, any unplanned appearance would expose who they are and create serious problems for me. Luna swallows her desire and stays put. The danger isn't over. A piercing eagle shriek tears across the sky. Over a dozen colossal eagles dive from above. The wind they generate is brutal. Talons slash through the crowd. Civilians are falling fast. The Vermilion Bird unit's signal flare shoots into the sky. Quinn, stage 6, leads his unit up the tower to engage. Dragon snake bow in hand, every arrow finding its mark. He takes one down on the spot, but the flock counterattacks, and Ian is caught in a sudden strike and falls, a sacrifice that will not be forgotten. Quinn, devastated, launches herself into the air to fight the flock alone, and falls straight into an ambush set by the Eagle King. Just as the Eagle King breathes fire and Quinn is completely surrounded, I move, crossing the distance in what looks like a teleport, and pull him out. I summon the celestial flame bow and release one arrow, blazing with true fire, that doesn't just kill the Eagle King, it obliterates 2 more eagles rushing in to support it. What's left of the flock breaks and flees. The aerial threat is fully neutralized. Every Dragon City Guard member watching stands taller, their faith in my strength is absolute. At the same time, on the cruise ship docked at the south end of the bridge, Leon is under fierce attack from the Stage 7 6-armed Monkey King. The Monkey King wields 6 different weapons simultaneously, its fighting style unpredictable and relentless, its power far exceeding Leon's. Even with his unit fighting alongside him, they're being pushed back steadily, and 2 members have already fallen. Leon fights with everything he has, grief and fury burning in his eyes, but he can't turn the tide. At the critical moment, Blade charges in with his weapon drawn and joins Leon in a 2-on-1 assault against the Monkey King. Still, they can't contain it. Just as Leon and Blade are pushed to their absolute limit, Glenn arrives at the head of 2,000 soldiers, and immediately orders every weapon trained on the Monkey King.